Hello and welcome to the Hoop Collective podcast. We talk about the NBA, which we're doing on Thursday evening. A little later on in the show, we'll have a special guest. If you're a longtime listener to the podcast, or if you're a legal eagle, you'll know who Alex Spiro is, one of America's leading defense attorneys. Vince, you can never have too many elite defense attorneys on your side. But he's also a Boston Celtics mega fan, and so here what's going on with the Celtics. But anyway, joining us from the media room at Little Caesars Arena, literally right now as we're doing this, the first quarter of 76ers Pistons is going on. I think the 76ers are comfortably ahead at this point, about 7 points. But later on today, I bet Cade Cunningham will be sitting right there where Vince Goodwill is sitting.
What up, though, Wendy? I'm trying to understand why you pointed out the defense attorney thing to me. Do you think I'm going to need one soon?
That's correct. You're from Detroit. I just figure you never know. Joining us from his home in Sacramento, and I have to say it's his home because every time we've had Anthony Slater since he's been with us for 6 months now, he's been in his backyard, and I miss the backyard personally, but from his brand new home studio, Anthony Slater.
You're like the ninth person. Suddenly, now that I don't have the backyard, everybody wants me to get it back, including somebody said, you know what you could do? You go take a picture of your backyard and make it the backdrop.
That would be amazing. Oh, my God. That would be amazing. I would love that. We got to make that happen.
Next time I'm on TV with you, I'm going to do that just for you.
Oh, my God. It's going to be great. Okay. So I thought we'd start, Vince. You had a story that posted on ESPN.com today. We're going to spend the majority of this pod taking a look at the Eastern Conference, particularly the Northeast, but we got some Orlando Magic stuff coming at you later, which is a sentence I don't often say. But Vince, you had a story today. You just recently were on the West Coast with the Knicks. You're back in Detroit now, but the Knicks have had a choppy trip to the West Coast. They always got to vacate this time of year because there's various conference tournaments that move into the Garden. And for a team that's got a pretty good record, I think the fact that there's a story about the issues facing them is appropriate because as I talk to Knicks fans there was a bunch of Knicks fans in LA this week. And I ran into a number of them when I was in LA because the Knicks played 2 games in LA this week. I missed you by like 24 hours, Vince, by the way. There's agita. There's annoyance about the Knicks. And so you sort of tackled that. And as they try to recover here, I thought we would take a look here. And, on a scale of 1 to 10, Vince, where do you think the Knicks are performing at this point in the season?
Right now, I think it's kind of an odd thing because when they were going out west, I felt like they played reasonably well in a loss to Oklahoma City. And then they blew the doors off the Denver Nuggets, who they always seem to have a good time with. And then you have back-to-back bad performances against the Lakers and Clippers. And then you beat the Utah Jazz, but they were playing two G Leaguers. They were playing 2 G Leaguers.
Yeah. They had just won the previous game, and I'm almost disregarding that. I'm disregarding that game. No offense.
Survive in advance, I think, honestly, because in the 3 seed, Wendy, the question I have for Knicks fans is, do you want to be on the line of playing Detroit in the second round, who's been your boogeyman, or do you want to play the Boston Celtics in the second round with new and improved Jason Tatum? So that's the difference between the 3rd seed and the 4th seed. So right now, I think my concern level will be right at maybe out of 6. Brian, just because some of their issues are coming out to bear. Jalen Brunson is the one guy that can create shots. Like when you ask OG Anunoby or Mikal Bridges, who disappeared for games at a time, to do more than what they're capable of doing, you see the turnovers, you see the issues. And then when you ask Karl Towns to do more, then it becomes a little bit more on the clunky side. And you're not sure if this is regression, like 30-year-old regression, or this is a guy who's not completely comfortable in the offense the way that he was comfortable in the Tom Thibodeau offense a year ago. And, defensively, they've been better. I think it's important to point out from January 15th to now, They're the best defense in the league. The last 3 games doesn't show that, but they've been good for a 2-month sample size. It's just that nobody believes in it outside of the Nick walls. And you wonder if that's residue from Tom Thibodeau, if that's residue from some of the doubts that people have had coming into the season. And they got about a month together.
It's not a small sample size.
Exactly.
In the NBA.
No, it's not.
Did I read it right in your story? Over the course of the season, even they have a better offense and a better defense than they ranked last year. Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah. They're a top 10 offense, a top 10 defense, but everybody seems to canonize what they were under Tom Thibodeau because they were, the comeback kids last year and they made this run to the Eastern Conference Finals. But statistically, they are a better team. It's just that when the numbers bear it out, the eye test doesn't seem to support that, or at least the eye test doesn't seem to support that against certain competition in an Eastern Conference where everybody felt like it was the Knicks for the taking. Now they're just one of 4 good teams.
Their lows seem extremely low this year, too.
Yes.
It's funny, you know, you were on the West Coast with them recently, right? The 2 LA games were kind of embarrassing. I was in Northern California with them. Gosh, this might have been January. Remember, Mike Brown goes back to Sacramento and they lose to the Kings. Then they go get blown out by the Warriors, go home. Remember that Mavericks game that, I think they were like 15-point favorites. They were down by like 30 at some point. Like, that felt like such a low moment that I don't know. You can correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe that Thibodeau team last year didn't have the lulls of the season as much, where it felt so
loud.
I don't know. Yeah,
loud is the word.
Yeah, but last year you had the Cavaliers were, however, they were on pace for 65, whatever wins. You had the Celtics with Tatum, as the defending champs. It felt at this time last season, in my opinion, like there was less of a path for them to the finals than it does right now. But the fact that obviously they went and did what they did in the playoffs probably generated the expectations. But it was interesting for me to read in your story that they actually rank better offensively and defensively. Yet I agree that it's very angsty.
It
Can
just
I read
what
you
it feels
some stats,
like.
Vince?
Okay, sure. Let's go to Stat Boy.
Karl Towns since the All-Star break, 12 games. 12 games does not make a season, but 12 games. 21 points, 12 rebounds, 61% shooting, 48% on threes. And yet, after every game, or most games, it feels like it's a referendum on Karl Towns. That's pretty good.
Wendy, the question is, what are the expectations on Karl Towns? And it's almost like last year set an unfair bar where he was, 25-12 and all NBA third team. It's almost like the season that he's having this year, to some degree as a whole, is the season people expected out of him last year, where they thought the glare of New York City was going to get to him. And he played really well. And I'm with you. He looks more comfortable post All-Star break. His offensive rebounding numbers have been good. He's not shooting the three at a high volume, but he's shooting it well. It's just when you look at him and Jalen Brunson as a quote unquote 1-2 punch, it feels like he's been underwhelming. When my thing is, do you want Karl Towns commandeering the offense in the 30 minutes a night that he plays? If so, be prepared for offensive fouls. Be prepared for it to look ugly. Be prepared for the Mikal Bridges and the OG Anunobis to get lost within that, because Karl doesn't know how. He's not a post-up guy. Like he doesn't have a very smooth offensive game. It's effective, but it's not the prettiest, because it's like he's uncoordinated. He's not uncoordinated. It just doesn't look like he's coordinated. And that leads to the offensive fouls and all the other things that come with the Karl Towns experience. But I'm with you, Wendy, because I know this is going to get clipped and everything else. Karl Towns has exceeded to large degree expectations post All-Star break, and he's trending positively. People just don't see it that way.
Because, as you say, he lives in a world where his salary is what it was. The trade, ushered in the reality that this team was ready to win a championship. His demeanor on the court, his fouls. I mean, I should bring up the fouls because that's fair. He's averaging, let's see here.
How many times has he fouled out? That would be my question.
Let me see. I know he fouled out
the other night. He fouled out against the Clippers.
in some like low. So there's been some times this season it's like 6 fouls in 22 minutes or something like
yes,
that.
and this is the thing. Like there are times when he does this and they throw their hands up. And I would just say this, if you expect Karl Towns to be a first team all NBA player who like goes in there and, rips out rebounds like he's Rodman and shoots threes like he's Curry and, beats his chest and runs over people, he's going to let you down. If you look for a guy who's going to absolutely put up giant numbers almost every night and is going to be a second star and, maybe he's a third team all NBA player in a good year. That's who he is. And that's that's a good player to have.
It's in the glare of Giannis.
He's been an all-star 6 times or something like that.
Yeah. Wendy, it's all in the glare of Giannis. Like, let's be perfectly honest here.
Right.
This is all both he and Mikal Bridges, who they traded 5 first-round picks for, because Stephen A. will tell you that every single time that the New York Knicks come up on First Take, those 2 players are under the harsh glare of that. Remember, I point this out all the time. Karl-Anthony Towns did not get a contract extension before the start of the season because the Knicks know to get a guy like Giannis, that means big numbers have to go out. And Mikal Bridges got his extension, for $150 million, whatever it was. But he's also the guy that you depleted your draft assets for a player who may be your 4th best starter. And maybe on some nights, your 5th best starter. And that's why a lot of the attention is so harsh on both of them, because everybody has wanderlust of what we could have had with Giannis, maybe what we can have again with Giannis, except we don't know if we're going to have that with Giannis. And now we look at the Eastern Conference, and what looked to be like our year looks like we are going to be lucky maybe to get to the conference finals if it all breaks right.
Can I read you some stats?
Sure, stat boy.
Jalen Brunson since the All-Star break. This is all covered kind of in your story, by the way. Just, your story is the source material, just to be clear. 12 games, just like Cat. 23 points, which is good, but it's down from 27 before the break. 43% shooting, which is average, down from 47% before. His assists are good. He's averaging 8 a game. He was averaging 6 before the break. It's a bit of a slump. But, this is something people are asking me about. They're like, how are they going to get Jalen out of his slump? So I ask you, is it a slump? And is it something to worry about? Or is it just, just a slight downturn?
I think it's regression to the mean. I think we all go back to the quote from last year about, hey, can Jalen Brunson at 6'1" or 6'0" be the best player on a team that wins an NBA championship? And we know the 2 players who that applies to in the course of modern NBA history. That's Isaiah Thomas and Stephen Curry. And you're talking about 2 top 3 point guards of all time. And it's unfair to hold Jalen Brunson to that particular standard, but that's the standard that Knicks fans or the New York Knicks are holding themselves to if they plan on getting to June. And I think defensively, he's been more active. And maybe it's a matter of only having so much bandwidth on both ends of the floor. Secondarily, the Knicks offense has been better when Jalen Brunson is not commandeering the ball, dribbling it into dust. The problem with that, Wendy, is who else is there to create shots? Who else is there to create offenses? Teams are starting to double him on the pick and rolls. They're starting to get the ball out of his hands and asking other guys to make shots. And Jalen Brunson and Mike Brown have to find counters to that to get him the ball in space to where multiple defenders aren't there. It's a work in progress, but I tend to believe that Brunson, being the big game player that he is, that those numbers will trend upward, even if I don't think he's a 30-point a night guy at his core. I think he should be around 24, 25 on a team like this when you got a guy like Karl Towns, when you're not playing 40 minutes a night. This feels like this is what the formula should be, Wendy. It's just that people expect so much, and they're comparing everything to the ideal of what last season was, as opposed to maybe the reality of what last season was.
Is the tension we're talking about, the lack of belief in them. You mentioned that there's a belief inside the walls. It's not there outside the walls. I mean, but you're around them. Clearly it's a fan base that's on edge. How does it feel internally to you when you're around them? I mean, do they feel like they have a run ahead of them?
It's hard with those guys because not that they're up and down, Slater, but the tenor of a locker room, it can go from night to night depending on who's there. Like when I was in LA for the Laker game, I see this guy walking in the locker room and shaking hands, and I'm like, who is this guy? And I barely get a glimpse of him. You know who it was? Jim Dolan. Like, imagine, you know what I mean? Like the glare of the owner popping into the locker room.
Off his teeth.
That owner in particular, how rare a sighting is it to see him on the road?
Well, for one, I don't travel with the team on the road, so it's hard.
Yeah.
But I will say this: it took me to ask someone. That looked like James Dolan. Is that Jim Dolan? Yeah, that's Jim Dolan. Really? For one, he's shorter than I thought, and that's not a shot at him. I was just like, if you only see a guy from the stands, you have no
kind of a shot.
No. But I'm the tallest dude. And he was like hunched over, so I couldn't get a feel for, you know what I'm saying, like his height in that way. And when you're around 7-footers,
that's true.
You know what I mean? It's hard for that. So I didn't, I didn't mean it that way.
It warps your sense of height when you're around all these dudes.
Don't aggregate me. I'm not taking a shot at James Dolan's height. Y'all, come on, y'all.
I am saying his teeth are white. They're very white. I hope I don't get banned from the Garden for saying that. I don't. Well, first off, Karl Towns is fouled out 7 times this year. He's second in the league in fouls per game. Just fouled up on that.
That sounds about right.
Jackson did not provide me with that information.
I'm going to get Jaren Jackson to me.
You're right.
Is like
Jaren
the
Jackson.
Western Conference version of that, of a guy.
And he hasn't even played half the damn season. And he's fouled out more.
Hope you're recovering well, Jaren. He had knee surgery recently. He's a absolutely great guy, absolutely wonderful, wonderful, wonderful guy who rebounds the hell out of the ball and sometimes makes you slap your head going, why did you foul? Why did you foul, Jared? But great guy. Mitchell Robinson, you highlight in your story as well. Mitchell Robinson is averaging, this number is crazy, Vince. He's averaging 8 offensive rebounds per 36 minutes.
Insane.
That's one of the greatest that's Moses Malone level offensive rebounding. Moses Malone is one of the most unbreakable records in basketball. I would argue maybe even pro sports is Moses Malone's offensive rebounding record.
Is it a record or is it a mark? Because we've been talking about records and marks the past 2 days on ESPN's apparatuses. We're treating 81 like 81's a record when 81 is just a very, very high mark. What you're talking about is a record.
Did you see what Spo said tonight before the game?
I did.
I apologize to no one for nothing. Love it.
Period. You know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of Michael Corleone in The Godfather 2. You can have my offer now, Senator. Nothing. I hate to just pile on, but you guys know how, if you like listening to the pod, I thought it was an awesome thing. We had Bam on NBA Countdown yesterday. Bam was still glowing. Loved it. I know you've been on TV talking about events, but just for our listeners, your position on the performance was? Let's get it on the record.
So go ahead, Slater. Go ahead.
Yeah,
go ahead.
To me, it was like a 66-point game masquerading as an 83-point game. He probably should have been, subbed out early fourth. I don't have this,
subbed
outcry.
Out because of why?
I mean, they were
because the game was in hand.
Like mid fourth.
Because the game was in hand.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Not because you have to pay respects to Kobe Bryant, right?
Yeah, no. I mean, what if Bam came down on an ankle, something like that in the fourth? Look, it is what it is. I'm just saying, I thought it was.
I agree.
The 83 part of it was a little fake, but I mean, if Bam Adebayo scored 66 points and played 3.5 quarters, it's basically what he did do, and that was incredible to me.
Absolutely agree. The last 5 minutes of the game was not a game that we are familiar with. Vince?
I will say this, as I said this morning on First Take before it was hijacked in all of the negative ways. If you score 30 points in the first quarter, I'm not passing for the next week. And anybody got a problem with that, can have a problem with that.
Right.
And it, like, statistically, it didn't look great. It wasn't like he shot over 50% from the field. He didn't shoot an enormous number from three. But when you got it going early and your teammates keep beating you, and you got 40 at the half, and you got 60 after three, and you got 71 with like 9 minutes left, yeah, you go for it. And when the Wizards, because they're the Washington Wizards, decide to do all the crazy town things, then Erik Spoelstra replies in kind. Like, it looked like at a moment before Bam got to 81, he was trying to take himself out of the game, and Spo was leaving him in. So at that point, what do? You play the game, and you tell them to stop you. They put three guys on him, and it looked like a clown car from a cartoon show where they were bumping each other's heads, and they had no choice but to foul him. What are you supposed to do? Miss the free throws?
Do I remember it right that Kobe, before, like maybe a week or two before he had 81, he had like 62 and 3/4 in Dallas?
Right. I think it was something,
62.
And so I think, I better check this, or maybe Jackson can check me on this. I think Phil, no, never mind. I'm gonna walk that back.
I think Phil asked him if he wanted to go in and go for the record, and he said no.
He said, no, we don't need it. Like, we got the game in hand.
Right.
And I think Brian Shaw told this story, and I don't remember who I read who told the story, so I'm not trying to hijack it. I just don't remember in this minute. So all due respect to whoever wrote the story initially from Brian Shaw. Brian Shaw, like, second guessed the decision and told Kobe, like, come on, man, you got to try to go get 70 at the least. And he's like, no, he goes, I'll give it another day. And like, it turned out like within a couple of weeks, he got the 81.
I've seen various versions of this covering the Warriors. I've seen Klay Thompson get into 60 and 3/4.
Okay. So the Klay Thompson story.
Well, I'll tell you the other one.
He scored 62 in 29 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay.
60 on 11 dribbles. I remember that one. But also,
hold on. I'm sorry to interrupt you. Then Steve Kerr, like, sort of his quote, we just heard Spo's quote. Steve Kerr's quote was, they said Dean Smith was the only guy who could hold Jordan under 30. Well, I'm the only guy who can hold Klay under 80. That's what he said.
Yes. But also, Klay Thompson, when he got the 14 threes in Chicago to break Steph's record, the record that still stands, 14 threes in a game, the last, like, 3 of those threes were in a 40-point blowout in Chicago at a pretty embarrassing time for the Bulls, where, like, Steve Kerr was, like, looking down at Fred Hoiberg, like, apologizing as the Warriors are, like, thirstily getting Klay Thompson, like, triple team threes to get to 14 to break Steph's record. So it's like, I don't think there was much of an outcry in the aftermath of, like, oh, can you believe they did that for Klay? So there's, like, give and take with all
Can
this.
I just ask a question that I don't have the answer to? It's sort of rhetorical, but feel free to answer it. Under what circumstances for Kobe and Laker fans would Kobe's record, would it have been okay to break Kobe's record?
It's not a record. It's just a mark.
Okay, I'm sorry. I take that back. Under what circumstances would it have been deemed acceptable for someone to exceed Kobe's 81-point mark?
It depends.
They would probably say Luka at this point, right?
Like, let's say LeBron scored. LeBron scored 82 points.
Oh, Jesus!
Like, short of the 82nd point coming, like in the fourth quarter of a tied Game 7.
How about the game winner got him to 82? You're trying to paint this perfect circumstance.
I'm just saying, like, I'm not even 100% sure that there would be universal praise for that. I'm just saying that
there's universal praise for nothing in modern society.
Well, that's what I'm saying, and especially for Kobe, who the fans of the Lakers guard Kobe's legacy like it's a family member. And so what I'm saying is that this was absolutely an imperfect event. I don't think a perfect event is possible. I don't even think if a Laker, like, short of the guy making the 82nd point to win a championship at the buzzer, for the Lakers, I'm not sure the Laker fans would have accepted easily the record being exceeded or the mark being exceeded.
You know what it is? It's for them, they hold on to it as if, like you said, they guard it like it's a family member, and they feel like if it's exceeded, then it will be somehow forgotten or erased. Like I saw Ice Cube's son, actor O'Shea Jackson, saying that the league conspired to get Bam past Kobe's record because they want to erase Kobe's legacy within the NBA, to which I say, why? Like, but these people, the Kobe stans, not the general fans, but the Kobe stans, the unreasonable people, they can't be bargained with.
Right. That's exactly my point.
They have no.
Great job by the league there choosing Tuesday night Wizards Heat on League Pass, by the way.
Yeah, the scripted thing, that was beautiful. By the way, in terms of like respect and everything like that, can I ask, Vince, where do you come down on DeJounte Murray crossing over Jamal Shed and then barking at him, and then his team, the Raptors, doing nothing about it? Where are you at on that? Considering that DeJounte Murray is coming off of this Achilles and all that.
My general thing is, maybe there was some trash talk between the two before then, but I hear that Jamal Shed is not that type of dude. And secondarily, where your teammates at? If somebody's standing over your guy, regardless of the circumstances, maybe it's because I'm here in Detroit and Isaiah Stewart will do more for less. You know what I mean? Like
WWBSD. What would Beef Stew do?
You don't want to know the answer to those questions. Like, even just me, if someone's standing over a friend of mine and we hooping, hey dog, what you doing? This is a pickup game, and right. I'm going to have problems.
He's in the league to defend guys like that. That's why he's in the league.
Can we talk about the Pelicans quick? I mean, it's, they're winning, right? They're winning with their veterans, which I understand why they're doing it. They didn't want to pivot away from a lot of their guys at the deadline. They don't have their pick, right? There's not an incentive to tank. But they're also, like, Jeremiah Fears and Derek Queen's minutes are going down and down and down. And I just, like, they're a curious offseason team to me, because if they go on this mini run right now with DeJounte Murray, I think impressively coming back. I mean, you mentioned it right there, but like, he's a good off this Achilles. Are they just going to like stay in? They're going to be a 27-win team going into the summer, but be like, this last month was great. They're going to ride it out again. It's very curious. Like,
well, yeah. So let me just say, like, if you look at, like, they've gone on this streak where they've won 7 of 12, I guess, or 7 of 10, 7 and 10, 7 and 3. So if you look at the wins, Warriors, which twice against the Jazz, Kings, Wizards, like, they're, okay. So I was with the Pelicans last week in LA. I talked to some of their people, and basically here's the deal. When Zion and DeJounte Murray got healthy, there was an organizational question. Like, what are we doing here? And the mandate that came down from the top is we are trying to win. They don't control their draft pick. So the mandate that came down was we are trying to win. And they had watched Jeremiah Fears and Derek Queen start for 40-something games, and it resulted in non-winning basketball, particularly on the defensive end. And by the way, that is not meant to be a slam and a shot at those guys. You are not going to win with starting two rookies just about any time in NBA history, okay? That is not, it is what it is. And so basically, they're like, okay, you want to win, right? Yes, we want, front office, we want to win. Okay, well then we're taking the rookies out of the starting lineup and putting in the veterans, which for a while was DeAndre Jordan. He started multiple games. And the way it was said to me is, even if, Derek Queen sits there for the first 5 minutes of the first quarter and watches how DeAndre Jordan, I think Borrego said this on the record, James Borrego, essentially. He said, if Jeremiah Fears can just watch, Jeremiah Fears and Derek Queen can just watch the first 5 minutes of the first quarter and third quarter and watch how DeAndre Jordan is executing the game plan defensively, and then DeAndre Jordan doesn't play again, then he will have done his job.
I think that part of it's okay. Like the player development side, I'm not going to go over the top of like, oh, Fear's only got, 14 minutes. He should have been playing in crunch time, wherever. My bigger question is at the deadline, they could have got a haul for Trey Murphy. They could have got a haul for Herb Jones. Maybe if they dangled Zion, like they could have like really leaned into a rebuild. They have a lot of very coveted pieces, winning pieces that I think would net some really nice draft capital, and they decided not to do it. You talk to teams that talk to them.
It's hard to tank when there's 8 other tankers, I mean,
well, to me, it's less of a tank and more of like a strike while the iron is hot and while Trey Murphy's value is at his highest. Okay, fine, you don't do that. My question would be, as I watch what's going on, is are they going to have this fake run, probably I would say fake run over the next month and a half, not make the play-in because they're nowhere near it, go into the offseason and go, look, hey, we had our veterans together. We're a winning, like mix, and then just not trade those guys again this summer, which I'm not even saying is wrong or right, but it's risky. Just like it was risky, I think, not to move off Murphy. Like Murphy might have, what would he have got at the deadline?
Well, but
I think they were asking for more. Right. I think what happened was the teams that might have been interested in Trey Murphy weren't willing to come off of the assets that New Orleans was actually asking for. I think it was in the reverse.
I heard New Orleans was basically saying no, like let's not even talk about it.
I also think Joe Dumars doesn't want to do a midseason trade. I think he kind of put that out there. Like, look, we're not going to do a midseason trade. We're going to stay here. So, and look, here's the thing: when you got 8 tankers, like Atlanta, they've been doing pretty well here. They've won 6 in a row. I don't know if they're playing tonight. Maybe I'll jinx them. Part of what's going on is Atlanta ain't tanking in the Eastern Conference where all the teams below them are. And they're not tanking because they don't control their pick.
Well, number one, they set that situation up themselves with a trade that I know has been questioned many times on this podcast, number one. Number two, my bigger question, again, I don't even want to like relitigate the deadline. My question is what I said, which is the summer. Does this, what's happening now, which is them beating these, flimsy teams right now, is that going to make them hit fast forward in the summer? And I don't know, do y'all think that's a good idea? Because we're not talking about tanking in the summer. We're talking about maybe shedding some of these pieces and reforming a rebuild.
You're making a good point, Slater. You're making a good point.
Okay.
It's a reasonable point. I do want to come back to Vince's story. We were talking about Mitchell Robinson.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I always do this. Jackson knows. I always take us.
That was probably my fault, honestly.
No, I liked it. Don't get me wrong. Mitchell Robinson is he's averaging eight offensive rebounds per 36 minutes. It's like I saw somebody tweeted it. I'm sorry if I can't give you credit. My mind is going. It's like more than like almost every team. How much they average per 36. But you point out here 2 things because I will tell you this: Joe Mazzulla, he's a pretty good coach. He's a pretty good coach, and the Joe Mazzulla decided that the most important thing in the series with the Knicks last year was to get Mitch Robinson off the court, said a lot. Or maybe not the most important thing, but at a high level on their game plan. And so you point out 2 things, Vince. Number one, that in this plan to keep Mitch Robinson healthy, which has worked, they're not playing him that many minutes. And how is that going to translate to the playoffs? And the second thing is, there was hack and Mitch going on at a high level in last year's playoffs. That was when he shot 68% from the foul line. This year, he's shooting 39% from the foul line. So while Mitch continues to be like the premium X factor in the Eastern Conference, what about conditioning him for the playoffs? And what about that free throw situation that you bring up in this story?
It's the double-edged sword, right? Because the Knicks are one of those teams that they love to offensive rebound and kick it out and spray. Like that's one of Mike Brown's tenets. Spray back outside and get open shots. We know that a lot of times it's the best time to get 3-point shots is because the defense is in scramble mode. You can't track guys, and they have a strategy with that. The problem is if Mitchell Robinson gets an offensive rebound before he even kicks it out, they're going to foul. I was about to curse. They're going to foul him and foul him hard because he getting the ball out of his hands. He's not trying to go up for a shot or anything like that. They're going to have to be very judicious in how they use him in the postseason because he's so valuable. And even on defense, like he is such a big body. He is a massive human being amongst massive human beings. It's almost like for every question there's an answer, And then similarly, there's for every answer, there's a question. And that is the duality of this New York Knicks season.
Number one, 39% is crazy. But two, like, you can, if you just pick up fouls in a playoff series in game 2, you get 3 first half fouls on Jalen Duren and you go 1 of 6 from the line. Like, you still did a great job there, right? You got some of these guys in foul trouble. So he's a massive factor. And if they're going to hack a Robinson him off the floor, that shows you what type of factor he is, because they don't want him on the floor.
Oh, well, Sunday, I should point out the Warriors are at the Garden.
Yes.
Are you doing this whole 7-game road trip, Slater?
So it's a 6-gamer. I was waiting on the Steph update and talking to people and deciding I was going to do the whole 6-gamer if Steph is on it, but Steph is not on it. So I will be joining in Boston and doing the last 4.
Okay. Sorry, you won't see him there, Vince. I don't know if you're going to be there.
I'll be there.
So the Steph update is what, and the Warriors update is what? They're playing the Wolves tomorrow at home. The Wolves need to get back when they just had a rough couple of days in LA. They've fallen below 500.
Yeah, for the first time since like December. It's a little bit of a kick the can down the road. It's the 3rd straight time they've done a 10-day reevaluation, which rules them out another 5 games. This absence will now stretch to 20 games, which is a massive chunk of the season. This issue popped up. Remember when they were in Minnesota, they had the baseball series. The first game got postponed. It was January 24th with the unrest in Minneapolis. He did an individual workout that day as everything in Minneapolis is going on around him. And during a workout, his knee swelled up and started hurting. Played through it a couple games, but then against Detroit on January 30th. He leaves in the 3rd quarter after hitting an and one floater. And they just decide, this was like 5-6 games before the All-Star break. Hey, shut him down probably till the All-Star break. Get this runner's knee is what they're calling it, right? There's no structural damage. They've MRI'd a few times. But when he works out, including during All-Star weekend, it just hasn't responded well. It's swelling, it's dull pain. It's really kind of an overuse injury. And they shut it down out of the break. And now again, it's going to reach up to 20 games. And I think that if Jimmy Butler was around and they were trying to like muscle their way into a top 4 type seed, if it was a different type situation with different realistic goals ahead of them this season, I think that they'd be throttling down a bit more. But next season has become the season in this final Steph era. And I don't think at all they want to jeopardize that. And this is, from what I gather, an injury that, they fear if you do put him back on the court, and he's not quite ready, it could, re-injure, re-aggravate, whatever you want to say. So they know they're going to be in the 9-10 at this point. I mean, I should say this. They know they're going to be in the play-in. They've known they're going to be in the play-in bracket for a while. If you look at what's going on in the play-in right now, though, the Clippers are rolling.
Yes. Can I just say, in the last 3 days, the Clippers have moved above 500.
Yeah.
And the Warriors have moved below, and therefore the Clippers have moved ahead. I'm just going to say, I don't know the health. I don't know about the aspiration. I wish I could say I've got strong reporting on the aspiration thing. I do not, I mean, obviously I know what's been investigated and what Pablo Torre has reported and others. I don't know what the resolution is going to be. I just don't. There's a ton of talk about it. There's a ton of rumors. Nothing that I would say I can substantiate. So I just don't know. There's some stuff with the Clippers I just don't know. I don't know whether Kawhi Leonard is going to be healthy. What I do know is this. The Clippers are now in 8th place, and don't let them get to 6th with a healthy Kawhi, and they're way back from 6th. They're 6 games back from 6th. I do not believe they can make that up. Okay.
So, yeah, 6 is a lot right now.
But I will also tell you they've got the 3rd easiest schedule.
Well, it's a good point. And I'm saying this more in like the Warriors lens here, and why I'm telling you they're trapped now in the 9-10, because I think 6 out of the next 8 Clippers games are against like lottery teams, whereas the next 5 for the Warriors, again, all without Steph Curry, are Minnesota, and then they go on this road trip that you mentioned that's Knicks, and then it's at Wizards, okay, but then it's at Boston, at Detroit, at Atlanta. They're in the next week or 2, they're probably going to end up being like 4 or 5 games back of the Clippers. So, I can go a little Brian Windhorst right now. I can start, booking play-in hotels. Like they're going to play the Portland Trailblazers. The 9-10 West play-in week is going to be Blazers, Warriors in the 9-10.
The Blazers are going to be on the road. I have I shouldn't say that.
No.
Blazers are going to be in the 9-10 game. I agree.
Yeah, I don't know which of those two teams is going to be 9-10. It's going to be close. I don't know how many more wins the
Suns are
Warriors
struggling right now. Although I'm sorry, the Suns have won 3 in a row, but the Suns the Suns could move out of the play-in. They're right on the Wolves' heels. They've got a 5-game gap between 7 and 8. So the Suns are like, hey, can we get into this top 6? The Clippers have 17 games left and are 6 games out. That would be a miraculous. They would probably have to do something like go 15-2.
Right. It would have to be something.
But they've gone on hot streaks, before.
Yes, but traded James Harden, traded Ivica Zubac. I know, right now they're playing well. Mathurin. I think they're going to beat up some of these bad teams in the near future. But I'll say, that was them. Completely. I guess pulling their ceiling out or lowering their ceiling for the season. So I don't fear them that much in a 6. I know how well Kawhi is playing right now, but what was that? Their second and fourth best player, basically they traded away at the deadline. I don't know. I don't see it in a playoff series.
All right. Well, right now, also, before I let Vince go back out to the game, the Pistons are up by 9 at the half. It's halftime in Orlando. The Magic are beating the Wizards. The Wizards are trying to, defend their honor as they Orlando.
What honor?
I will say this. Here? I don't know if you TSN, the Canadian sports network. Sam Mitchell.
Yes.
The former coach of the Raptors was on the Raptors post-game show the other night, and they like the Dolphins, like the 72 Dolphins, every year when the last undefeated team loses, they pop champagne because Sam has been long derided for not being more aggressive on Kobe back in 2006, and Sam was enjoying Bam's cracking the Kobe mark. But anyway, the Magic had a nice quality win over the Cavs on Wednesday night, and at the risk of having Jackson have to edit this out if the Wizards beat them, the Magic are doing some things, despite Franz Wagner not. They gave a non-update update. They were like, he's still progressing and we'll give you an update coming soon. So it's a high ankle sprain. I don't know.
It was something that it didn't feel like he was closer. And then I don't know if they said setback, but it felt a little.
He's had setbacks, multiple setbacks with this injury. Since the All-Star break, the Orlando Magic, who it's often pointed out have not been out of the bottom 10 in offense in 14 years. 20th or lower in offense for 14 consecutive years. Since the All-Star break, they are 8-3 as a team. We'll see if they win tonight. Would go 9-3, and they have the 8th best offense in that stretch, and the number 3 defense in that stretch. They've been a good defensive team for a couple of years now, but 8th best offense. And if watching that game last night, Banchero has. We keep getting these updated numbers from Joel Glass. Let me give the updated numbers coming into tonight's game. Joel Glass, Magic. Since the All-Star break, the Magic have an offensive rating of 117.8, which is tied for 7th. Defensive rating is 107.3, which is tied for 3rd. And obviously Paolo, we've talked about Paolo a lot, his stats. So, but forget about the stats. I'm going to move off the stats for a second. When you watch the Magic play right now and you watch them pressure the rim and you watch them go in transition and you watch Des Bane, and I'll tell you one thing, in this era of nobody hitting 65, Des Bane has not missed a game, knock on wood, for Des. And he is coming, he's starting to, when he's not throwing the ball at people, which let's knock that off, Des, but he is, it's often said to me, or it has been said to me over the years, that it takes longer for offense to come together than defense to come together. That everybody just assumes that when you bring in a great offensive player, that it just clicks. But historically, it takes longer offensively. And I think the Cavs are actually having that growing pain a little bit right now. I know their record with James Harden is good, but if you actually watch them, their offense has not been as potent since he got there. And I think that's part of a learning curve that they are dealing with. The Magic with Bane and also with this alignment are coming into their own. And, I'm going to talk about the Clippers, watch out. Well, the Magic have moved out of the play-in zone. They've moved into fifth. The Raptors have lost 6 of 10. The Raptors really have not fared well against.
They can't beat
better
good teams. Yeah, they can't beat good teams at all.
They're still 7 games over 500, but they've slipped all the way to 7th now. And the Magic are in 5th. And, BPI, I don't really pay that much attention to BPI, but BPI says that Cavs Magic is likely going to be a 4-5 matchup. So I'll just point out, Vince, that the Magic are showing some teeth on offense, and that's a significant development in the East.
Look, I think it goes back to Paolo Banchero and Jamal Mosley having I won't say war of words. That would be a bit strong, but Banchero, after they lost to Detroit, Banchero talked about us not, we didn't make adjustments, and Jamal Mosley said they just played harder than us. And since then, it felt like a dam has broken where maybe some of that underlying tension can play itself out and people can clear the air. And like you said, Desmond Bane figuring things out in this offense, where we looked at in the offseason, a lot of us thought where Detroit is, Orlando would be because of this acquisition, because of assumed health with Banchero and Wagner being on the floor together at the same time. Like, it's starting to come around. I will say this about the Harden thing. So I was talking to an executive about trade deadline moves, teams who didn't make them, and he said to me, what trade deadline moves have actually worked? And I thought about it, and I said, Rasheed Wallace, of course, 2004. Dikembe Mutombo, 2001, 76ers. They got to the finals. Dikembe for Theo Ratliff. Pau Gasol, which wasn't a trade deadline move, I don't think, but
That's true. It was December.
It was an earlier season. I think it was after Andrew Bynum got hurt. It was a mid-season move. And he was like, yeah, 4 of those instances, or whatever it was, maybe it was one more. It's like 4 of those instances out of 20 X amount of years. Like, these things don't happen that often, even if it seems like all of us can play fantasy GM. So the point about the Harden thing was, if Harden falls into that category, it's what you talked about, Wendy, the expected struggle, especially for a player who has as much control of the offense as Harden does. Not that he commandeers anything, but he is the system.
This is not exactly comparable because of the dynamics of that trade, but look at the Kevin Durant trade a couple of years ago. I mean, they took their whole team and turned it sideways. But that Durant trade to Phoenix, that didn't work out, short term or long term. But, Durant's never said I am the system, but you could say about Durant, he's the system.
Wendy, can I detour you one more time before this podcast
I don't allow that.
ends?
No, we focus on the pod.
No, it's, I watched that Magic Cavs game last night, the one we're mentioning, Magic, nice win, Bane looked great, but I see Keon Ellis hitting like 3 threes and like late in the fourth quarter, looked great, right? What did he play, 30 minutes?
Yeah, he's played 30 minutes a couple times in a row.
Yeah, I mean, you're obviously locked in on the Cavs a lot, on the blow by blow. How good has he been?
He's been exactly what the Cavs thought they were getting from a defense. He's a defensive playmaker. He gets his hand on a ton of balls. He creates steals. He creates fast break opportunities. Defensive playmakers are kind of hard to find.
It's kind of why I'm asking, because he was extremely available at the deadline for anybody in the league. And the Kings just never got their, asking price of a first round pick. They obviously ended up pivoting and basically using him to dump the Dennis Schroeder contract. And he's always been coaches have never trusted him the way that front offices and scouts love him, and that the local fans in Sacramento loved him. But, it's obviously not a great look for the Kings, to basically get off him. And he's like a, closer at times for an Eastern Conference team. And I don't know. I was just watching it last night. It was one of the things.
Well, I will say this. And this could be, I'm pretty sure Bobby Marks briefed me on this because, but I think he's extension eligible.
Yes, February 9th, he was extension eligible. It's part of the reason the Kings had to trade him, even though he was looking
and the
pretty good
Cavs haven't signed him yet.
Yeah.
So, what that tells you is that
he thinks he's playing himself into a bigger deal. And maybe that's why he didn't have quite the, I guess, market that the Kings were hoping he would at the deadline. But like, this guy was really available to a lot of teams. And you mentioned it, defensive playmaker, deflection king, steals, all that. And I just, he might end up being a really real factor in the playoffs. And I think it could look bad on the league in a general that nobody went out and grabbed him. And then also like the Kings, but that's a deeper story about the Kings just losing him for nothing, basically.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Vince. You got to go get to work. By the way, Jackson went and found it for me. That Brian Shaw story was an interview with Melissa Rowland, who I believe was with Fox at the time, but she is now with the California Post. So
more journalism jobs, positive.
Yes. All right. Thanks, guys. We will be talking to you guys soon, and have a great weekend. Okay. Always special when we have Alex Spiro, one of the nation's leading trial attorneys. He's coming from an undisclosed location with an undisclosed client list. Just for fun. Just Google him. Alex, I'm just going to tell you this. There's a guy who I know in the NBA who, how should I put it? You know who he is. He's a security consultant. Okay? He's a fixer. And he once described his job to me as, Brian, they call me in when it's 4th and 20. Well, they call Alex in when 4th and 20 didn't work. So I'll just leave it at that. He's represented a number of NBA players, but most important, Alex, and the way that you want to be introduced and the way that you identify yourself is a diehard Celtic, not a Celtic fan. You're a Celtic. And not only that, like I know, what's going on with the team. But anyway, welcome to our humble podcast yet again.
Good to see you guys. I tune in every time, so it's good to see you, face to face.
Yes. Okay, now we are doing this before the Celtics play the Thunder tonight. Jason Tatum is sitting out tonight. The reason we're having this now is because you are a no-nonsense man. You in a no-nonsense business. You have inside information. I want to know what you think about the way Tatum looks and what you think about where the Celtics are now that we've seen Tatum play for a few games.
I'd like him to play tonight so I could see them beat a top team. We lost to the Spurs. There was a questionable backseat driving technical foul you might have seen. Lost to the Wolves.
Can I just say real quick, because I'm famous for ripping you are correct. The referee who called the first technical did not call the second technical. The referee that called the first technical, Tyler Ford, who has been on our podcast. We are Tyler Ford defenders here. Having said that, I have not talked to Tyler, but I will just say, I don't think Tyler would have thrown Jalen out. It was a younger junior referee who came in to quote unquote have Tyler's back that threw Jaylen Brown out of the game. I do not think it was the way it should have gone down. Joe Mazzulla after the game compared it to like the principal not letting the assistant principal do his dirty work. I actually think Joe was right. And I think what you just said was right. Having said that, counselor, Jalen's got to control himself more in that situation.
Sure. I think we could have won that game. So we lose to the Spurs. We lost to the Wolves. We lost to the Nuggets. I would have liked to have seen Tatum and the full roster play tonight because I think we need a win like that. We're losing record to the Knicks, losing record to the Pistons. But that being said, I'm bullish. I think we're going to the finals. I've got the hotel room booked, so I'm ready. I'm ready to go.
Yeah, you've got the Ritz booked. I've got the Courtyard booked, buddy. The hotel room booked where? In Boston.
Oh yeah.
But we're not predicting who they're going to play. You don't. I will pick a Western Conference team. Let me know when you book hotel rooms in the West, and then we'll talk.
I'm playing the field still, but yeah, okay. I like the Celtics. Tatum looked great, and for a few games back, he looks great. The team looks great. They're focused, and I think he fits in perfectly. And they designed it as such. And when you talk to the team, the culture and just the fight that they have, it just rings out from all the way through, from ownership all the way down. And so I think they've built something special here, and I think they're going to go to the finals.
Well, it's a new ownership situation now. It's a new, have you detected any difference in the way the Celtics are operating? I know Wick Griesbach is still around, but it's new ownership now.
Yeah, Bill's great. Wick has remained in his spot, and everybody is just says the world of Wick. Brad is a rock. Mike Zarin's great. I mean, you see the culture. It reminds you a little bit of the Patriots dynasty, the culture there. And you see it with the stars. I mean, Tatum, the amount of goodwill and respect that Tatum has around the league for the way he came back, the Mamba mentality, the way people are talking about him, you can see how well respected he is both inside the team and out. And then even little things like when Cornette comes back and everyone's cheering for him, you can just see that this is a special organization. And I think they're primed for another several finals runs.
I would agree with that. Now, let me just tell you that I'm going to tell you what the scouts are now saying to me because they've now watched Tatum for a little bit. And nothing that I'm about to say is surprising. Okay. It's not a criticism also. I think Tatum's return has gone as well as they possibly could have imagined it and drawn it up. And I think he looks great. And I'm also on the record many times, and I will just do it again here, saying that Jason doesn't have to be ready to go in the highest level today. He needs to be ready to go in the highest level 6 weeks from now when the second round begins, which is where I think they're going to need him the most. But the scouts will tell you, the scouts who've watched him will tell you that absolutely you can tell how he protects the right leg. And that, I pointed out that his first shot, against the Mavericks a week ago, he sort of did, I called it a step back, but I was corrected by an expert, a guy named Robert Oliver, who emailed me, who is a PhD researcher in biomechanics. And he said that it was not a step back. It was what's called a false step. And I'll maybe learn more about that. Nonetheless, I felt it was a little bit symbolic that he showed that he would push off the right leg. That's what having said that, the scouts say, look, the right leg is weaker and he sometimes is protecting it. And, some teams, I talked to a scout who said he thought some teams were being a little charitable the first couple of games and not attacking him, and that they will attack him more on that side. So what I'm saying is that I expect us to continue to learn and watch about how Jason is, and this very much to be a process.
Yeah, I think that's right. By the same token, he doesn't have to be, Tatum of last year. Jalen has ascended to being a first-team All-NBA type scorer, or just straight up first-team All-NBA. And Jalen is surveying the court. Some of that's the injury, some of it's psychology, some of it's that he's been able to watch the team for so long. And if he ends up in more of a triple-double role and less of a I'm going to attack every play role, I think that may be a blessing in disguise. It may lead to less your turn, my turn kind of stuff that he and Jalen can do. So there's some benefit to that. And then, listen, look at the top scorers in the league. People like Jalen, Luka. You don't have to necessarily have explosiveness to find the angles. Jason has incredible footwork. He's also a big 6'10". He shoots high, release point. He's going to be able to score and see the court. You can see him snatching those rebounds. And just think about who he was replacing. I mean, he's a huge upgrade. Who did better at the turn of the trade deadline than getting Jason Tatum back even 85%? So
absolutely.
I think they look great, the team chemistry, the culture, and I don't see why they can't come out of the East, and I think they will come out of the East.
All right, let me ask you, as an officer of the court, let me ask you this. If you had a vote for MVP, what would your MVP ballot look like? I want to see how impartial you can be here. Let's see.
Yeah, what's Polymarket saying these days? I mean, I think you've got to factor in
Polymarket should follow the Bontemps poll because Bontemps' research has routinely proven to be predictive.
We should do the Bontemps Polymarket poll. We should sort of merge the two. But I don't know
maybe
where
Jackson
they
will
are
look it
at
up, but I don't know.
in games played. I mean, is Shea and...
Interesting you say that. Tonight, Victor was ruled out of the game with ankle soreness, and he has, I think he can miss 4 games. So I don't know how significant that is, but yes, of course, you can include that in your answer. But as of today, Shea and Victor have not missed games to the level where they would be ruled out. But Victor and Shea are both sort of somewhat close.
Yeah, I think it's got to be Shea, Victor, and then Cade and Jalen.
Excellent ballot. I respect that ballot. Let me ask you this: as long as I'm asking you to give me a ruling on Bam Adebayo's 83 points.
Oh, it was great. It was
Thank
great.
you. I'm in the same boat as you.
After Celtics culture, the Heat would be right up there. And he's just an awesome player. And I love watching him play. And, let him go. Once he's got 70 late in the game, let him go. Let him try. And it was without hitting many threes, it was a hell of a game.
So the Celtics, their team is very, very different from the last, if you go back and look really since sort of the 22 to 25 era where they made 2 finals. And then last year, I thought they were going to the finals. I had my hotels booked in Boston for months and months, probably longer than I had them booked in Oklahoma City. But they're a very, very different team now. Their culture is the same. Their style of play is the same. They still want to shoot a ton of threes. They still focus on low turnovers. But this is a very different team, and you're going to be relying. Now, look, the basis of the Celtics is they have 3 awesome two-way guys. The Jays and Derek White play both ends of the court, perimeter players, ball handlers, can defend great. All 3 of them can hit a clutch shot. And then obviously Peyton Pritchard he has his role. But you are going to be relying in the playoffs on role players who have not done it before largely. I don't consider Peyton Pritchard. I mean, he is a role player, but I'll put him almost in a starter quality. Do you believe that these guys who haven't done this before will be able to deliver like those role players for the last few years who proved themselves? Al Horford, Porzingis when he was healthy, guys like that. Do you believe that this team has that build out of the roster that you need to win 3 playoff series?
Yeah, and I think we're skipping over Cato. I think we're skipping over the fact that because of Porzingis' health and Al, not being as young as he once was, that you've got an upgraded center. You've got this inspiration of Tatum coming back this way and a culture that cultivates confidence and excitement amongst the role players. And they got a lot of role players. They're deeper than they have been in a decade. So that counts for something. And I think the team will pull the right strings and keep the right guys in at different times. And they play this spread Duke college-like basketball, and they've got enough two-way players that I just think the other teams in the East have weaknesses that they did not solve at the break. They did not solve at the trade deadline, and that the Celtics should win.
You sound like Jim Dolan. They should win. They should win. Okay.
Not a clear, Tatum is coming back, and I don't think it's a runaway. I mean, the Pistons are tough. The Knicks have what they need. The Cavs are very good.
I think the Celtics match up well with the Cavs.
Yes. And
the wing strength of the Celtics really shows up with the Cavs.
Yeah, and I think the Pistons are missing a scorer. Need one more scorer. And so then you're left with, are we talking about a Knicks Celtics Eastern Conference Finals? And boy, will that be a hell of a run back.
Has been said for well over a year. The Knicks have invested enormous amounts of assets and money in building their team to beat Boston. They built their team with strong wings to do it. I think they beat this. I was somebody who very strongly believed that the Celtics would win that series last year. I even believed the Celtics would win it when they were down 2-0. But also very much believed that the Knicks flat out took it and that it was going to be 3-1 and that they were going to win even if Tatum hadn't gotten hurt, because I think the Knicks proved the way they played could work against Boston. That still exists. They are still, even with the different coach, they still have those weapons. I still am mystified the way games 1 and 2 went, but the fact that they won both of them sort of, and the way that they, won game 4 and then were so powerful in game 6, like it validated that stretch. Like that still is there. That the Knicks have that.
We were unexplainably lax at the beginning, and the game Tatum got hurt. I mean, you can't tell me a better game played by a player in recent years or a harder game played. He was unstoppable and so ferocious.
But they were going to lose that game.
Right. I mean, I know it was down to the wire, but his his performance was something else. And in any event, I don't think, given what's happened in the last 10 months with his comeback, they will be lax going into this. But again, Tatum's health is key, and OG has been playing great. I mean, he's really their wing that can guard. I think their other players are a bit small for Jalen and Tatum. And so it's really OG verse a little bit.
That's true. That's why they got him. That's why they paid him the max, not just what they traded for him. That's why they paid him the max. All right, Alex. Well, am I going to have you back on? I'm going to have you back on after the conference finals, and we're going to see whether your confidence was accurate. I do think Boston, probably if I had to rank the percentages, I would put Boston as the highest percentage, but it would be something like in the high 20, maybe 30%. Like there's a lot of things that could still go on there.
Listen, even saying that with Tatum just coming back just tells you all you need to know about, the heart of the Celtics. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. All right. Well, you're on the record.
I will see you after the Eastern Conference Finals, if not sooner. And certainly I'll let you know where I'm staying in Boston.
All right. Sounds good. Thank you very much, Alex Spiro.
I guess.
We'll see you soon. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. Thank you to all of our producers, Mark, Jackson, and Tucker, and Devon, as always. Thank you to Vince Goodwill and Anthony Slater, who joined us earlier. Thank you for listening and watching the Hoop Collective. We'll talk to you next week.